Hi, my name is Dreya Williams. I work on the crisis support team at InsideTrack. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and my first name. And essentially, I am deeply passionate about caring for myself and caring for my community. I essentially created this solar system of care as kind of this way of looking at self-care as both preventative and tangible, in a way that takes self-care away from just the self, but also brings in that communal aspect of like reflection and being in community with others. So the solar system of care builds upon each other, and they're kind of built with different reflection questions. And it's kind of framed as like you're on this journey, right? And you're asking yourselves questions around these different elements of self-care. So we start at the top with communication, right? So when we are thinking of self-care, it can be really easy to insulate and isolate. But that first piece is asking us, have I communicated my needs? Have I asked for help? Have I kind of named what I need in this moment so that I don't have to carry this all by myself? Then we move into intimacy, which essentially asks, what feelings are coming up for me? I think the more that we can name the feeling, the more that we can sit with it and say, oh, okay, so that's the feeling that's coming up for me. What now? And now that I know that feeling, in what ways do I need to be held with it? For the regrounding one, our planet of Earth, the first question is, do I need to reconnect with myself? Are my cultural identities and my roots, are they nourished? I think oftentimes, especially student support professionals, we're going from meeting to meeting, we're doing notes, and sometimes I'll be so wrapped up in something, I'll be like, oh my goodness, I have not ate. From regrounding, we next have action, like taking actionable steps. Awareness is so important, but once we have that, it's like, what next? So that action piece of self-care really asks us, well, now that I know this, what needs to change? And if I'm not ready for it to change, am I maybe not asserting my needs? What could I assert? It also is asking us, through action, are my passions being tended to? It is so, I think, difficult to have an identity and passions outside of the work that we do sometimes, and outside of our families and the other roles that we occupy. So action really asks us to take a look at that and think, what could I tend to with my passions outside of those? Social. In the social side of things, it's asking us kind of who and what relationships do I want to nurture right now? Who can I call upon? And it's essentially asking, am I in community with others? And then from there with social, we build upon that with boundaries. I think boundaries can sound like a really scary word, especially in this profession when well, if I set a boundary, does that mean that maybe it's one of the students that I care about isn't going to get their needs met? Or what is the impact if I do this or this? But boundaries ask us to go there and wonder, well, what can I say no to? What is something that I maybe can shift off my plate? It also asks us to reflect on, okay, things are maybe feeling a little chaotic right now. Do I have a routine? Have I been honoring my routine? Am I in alignment with what my body and soul need? And then from boundaries, we move to innovate. It essentially takes all those things we've talked about and it says, well, is there something new I could try? I think oftentimes with self-care, we think, well, I've tried journaling, I've tried meditating, I've tried these things. What do I do now? Sometimes it can be helpful to kind of think, well, what do I want to try moving forward then? Is there something new that I would like to lean into? And what other parts of me need to be awakened again? And how can I get closer to that? And then from there, we move to rest. I think it's important to ask ourselves, am I making room for rest? It sounds so simple, but I think it is really difficult sometimes to prioritize that with everything else on our plates. But all these other pieces in the system of care are so difficult to think about, to lean into, to practice, if we're not allowing ourselves to really take the time to rest. The final question is releasing, if we hold all of these things, what can I surrender? What is outside of my control? The hope with working with this resource is that you're able to have a tangible thing to reflect on in those moments where you just really need to prioritize the care to yourself and to make it both preventative, sustainable, and just to have a place to start.